look at these students checking the NEET medical exam results. In June 2025, 18-year-old Chandrika Patel was in exactly this position. She had just scored a 478, significantly improving on her previous attempt and cementing her goal of becoming a doctor. Her modern ambitions collided with her family's reality. Her father, Sendabai Patel, was a former village head, a sarpanch, whose worldview was strictly bound by orthodox patriarchal traditions. During a relative's wedding on May 5th, Sendabai focused on showing Chandrika to a prospective groom, attempting to arrange a marriage without her knowledge. He suspected she was having an affair and wanted to secure her future according to his own terms. Chandrika was in love with Haresh. When her family discovered the relationship, they confiscated her phone, barred her from her hostel, and terminated her medical studies. Chandrika's aspirations were now under direct attack by a father who feared community gossip and society's taunts more than he valued his daughter's education. On June 4th, Chandrika and Haresh arrived at the Mirzapur court to formalize their relationship. They filed a live-in agreement, a constitutional shield securing the rights of consenting adults. It legally bars parents or authorities from forcing them home. Yet despite this full constitutional backing, Chandrika was dead and secretly cremated barely 20 days later. This raises a critical question. How did a legally binding contract fail to protect an 18-year-old woman from being executed by her own family? On June 12th, local police tracked Chandrika's phone to a resort in Balasar, Rajasthan. They arrived late that night, accompanied by her brother. When officers located the couple, they reviewed the live-in agreement, a valid legal contract, and dismissed it as a worthless piece of paper. Operating without a warrant, the officers confiscated the couple's phones and physically separated them, placing them in different vehicles. To isolate Chandrika, the police looked for a way to remove Haresh. They used an old, unrelated charge for alcohol possession, a strict offense in the dry state of Gujarat, in order to immediately place him in jail. On June 13th, police pressured Chandrika to change her story. She repeatedly insisted she wanted to stay with Haresh, but officers threatened to keep him in jail indefinitely on fake charges unless she signed a statement agreeing to return to her family. In this moment, the police stopped acting as neutral officers of the state and became the private enforcers of Sendabai Patel's patriarchal authority. After getting bail, Haresh filed a habeas corpus petition in the High Court. This legal order requires the police or a captor to physically present a detained person in court to prove they are being held legally. The court scheduled a hearing for June 27th. Sendabai now faced the possibility of his daughter testifying against him in an open courtroom, a prospect that threatened his social standing and family honor. On the night of June 24th, Sendabai, along with Chandrika's uncle Shivram and cousin Naran, attempted to break her will one last time. When she refused to submit, they drugged her milk with sedatives. Once she was asleep, Sendabai strangled her to death at 1:30 a.m. They then dragged her body to a storeroom and hung it from a fan to stage a suicide. The family claimed she died of a sudden heart attack to avoid a post-mortem. They secured a fake death certificate through local connections and cremated her body by 6 a.m. Sendabai believed he had protected his honor by erasing his daughter and hiding her murder behind a fabricated medical emergency. When Haresh regained his phone from the police, he found it had been factory reset. This unauthorized deletion of data from a seized device is a violation of the Article 21 right to privacy. Haresh bypassed the wipe storage by logging into Instagram on another device. He found messages Chandrika sent on June 17th, where she explicitly stated that her family would kill her if she didn't follow their marriage plans. These messages eventually reached the assistant superintendent of police, who confronted the uncles. Faced with the evidence, they confessed to the crime, while Sendabai fled. The murder came to light because of digital footprints the local police failed to erase from the cloud. Local law enforcement provided the final opportunity for the murder by physically returning Chandrika to the custody of the men who planned to kill her. In this case, the police actively prioritized traditional familial hierarchy over constitutional law. Their decision to return her to the house she had legally fled removed her only layer of safety. Chandrika had followed the law by securing a live-in agreement. However, that legally binding contract became useless once the police decided to treat an 18-year-old woman as the property of her father. Until a woman's signature on a legal document is respected more than patriarchal tradition, the constitutional protections meant to safeguard individual autonomy will remain an illusion.